Start. Om Sarva Mangala Mangaye Shive Sabartha Sarike Sharane Trambake Gori Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute. O you who are the giver of all blessings, O you who are the doer of all good, O you who are the fulfiller of all desires, O you who are the giver of refuge, our salutations to you, our salutations to you, our salutations to you, Mother. You know, for a long time, I avoided speaking on Holy Mother Sri Sarda Devi, and writing about her seemed really difficult as well. It seemed impossibly difficult because it's intensely personal. And I think for a lot of us, Mother is a very intensely personal subject. And so I didn't kind of want to go there because it's so sacred and so personal. And the other difficulty is that unlike Sri Ramakrishna, and especially unlike Swamiji, who's, both of their lives were very dramatic in very different ways. There's lots of material written about him, lots of, the M's things are extensive. Swamiji traveled around the world so much he wrote so much was written about him. Mother's life was so simple and modest and completely undramatic. So how do you speak about such a simple, quiet, undramatic life? And, and the fact that she did have such an undramatic life, that her life was just simple acts day by day, is really just perfect, because that's pretty much more like our life. Very simple, everyday work. She just did her daily duties every day without fail. She worked all day doing cooking. She was husking paddy. She was cleaning up after everybody. She was tending to all of her family members who were either just completely crazy or greedy or contentious or all of the above. And she had, because her sister-in-law was really stark raving mad, she had to take care of Radu, her niece, who also had definite mental health issues and was really very difficult to take care of. And she was an emotional basket case and a complete handful. And everybody in her family wanted her for something. They just wanted what they could get out of her. They didn't have any idea who she was. They had no appreciation for her unless they could get some money or something out of her. So they wanted things. And she continually had to settle their quarrels, which were continual. The quarrels in that family were going on all the time. And she always had to intervene because they were so self-centered and difficult. There was nonstop family bickering in that family, but Mother was kind of like this swan floating on water. Just peace and tranquility when all this other stuff was going on underneath it. She just retained her composure at all times. She never lost her tranquility. She never lost her peace. In Mother's life, she really suffered from abject poverty. Her life was very simple before she married Thakur. And then after his death, the disciples went off, they went out and led a wandering life. And Mother, according to Thakur's instructions, went to Kamarpur. But Thakur's nephew Ramlal cut her allowance. So she had nothing. She had very little food. She had only a torn sari. She had not even salt to put on her rice. And Thakur told her, never put out your hand to others. And of course, she wouldn't have anyway, not her style. So she lived in abject poverty for 2 years. And then the word got to Thakur's disciples, this is what's happening. And they couldn't believe it, because Thakur before his death had really planned quite carefully. How much money will you need? How much money will you have? He was very careful of. For a man who had complete horror of money, he was very careful to make sure she would have enough money after his death. asking her how much. No, really, how much is there? How much will you need? Making sure that everything would be there for her. And then Ramlal, that family. So there you go. So then the disciples intervened when they found out how really terrible she was. She suffered from disease. It wasn't like she had such an easy life. She had constant bouts of malaria and other diseases that were really debilitating, never a word of complaint. She suffered from crippling rheumatic arthritis. And then she had bereavement. The death of Shamakrishna was so hard on her. She'd suffered from the death of all of Thakur's disciples that were like her own children. It tore her apart. She had her own family members, the little ones that she was caring for, that passed away. She made so many people her own that when they suffered or died, she really wept and cried with them. So that she suffered from bereavement and her living circumstances. Oh my God. If you haven't seen the Nahabat in Dakshineshwar, please go and be shocked, because it's under 8 feet by 8 feet on the outside. On the outside. Inside, okay, to get in, the door is 2.5 feet, which means you have to get down so low to be able to get in the door. In and out, 2.5 feet. The ceiling inside 9 feet at the most. And then she had everything hanging from the ceiling. She had a live fish in a bowl of water hanging from the ceiling, along with all of her storage items hanging from, plus she had women coming and staying with her. 8 feet by 8 feet. It's not even as big as a closet. I've seen closets that are in like much bigger than that. And she lived, and she said it was the happiest period of her life. She said it was like she had what's the word of a container of joy that was brimmed, overflowing with joy, because she could see Thakur through the little matting there and see him dance and listen to his words. She was constantly overflowing with bliss. She lived a life intensely in the world, but she remained absorbed in God the whole time, which is her lesson to the world. We're living in this world of ours. It doesn't stop us from being absorbed in God, because it's in the mind and it's in the attitude. It's all in the attitude. And this is Mother's really special gift to us at a time when everybody's so busy all the time. She had the highest spiritual consciousness while being absolutely involved in everything in the world and dealing with it very practically. It isn't like she was like, She was very practically giving advice, taking care of things, working very hard physically. It didn't stop her from maintaining that highest spiritual consciousness, because her attitude was there. Now, we often think this is Mother's play right now. We're hearing the dog barking, we're hearing a child crying, and Mother was just like, this is our life, isn't it? And it's all part of this, our beautiful spiritual life. If we can't include this in our spiritual life, then we have to change our attitude. This is what Mother's teaching us this very moment. A child crying, a dog barking, very things going on everywhere. Just Mother is just like completely absorbed in God. And if she can do it, she's showing us, I don't have such an exceptional external life. Learn from this. This is what we learn from this. Now, people often think, because here I'm a nun in Santa Barbara, and they say, oh, I want to lead a spiritual life. I wanted to be a nun, but I couldn't. Or people think that somehow if they were a monk or they were a nun, or that they could go to India and make a pilgrimage there, then they could lead a spiritual life. Oh, it's like I can't lead a spiritual life because I've got such job stress. I've got such family stress. Oh my God, the pandemic, I can't meditate with all this. I've got too much stress going on. And then we just pile up our stresses. But, it's like people make this excuse. It's like, if I didn't have all this, then I could double down on my spiritual life and I could really meditate. No, you won't. If you can't do it now, you won't be able to do it then, because it's the same mind. This is going with us everywhere we go. If you go to a cave in the Himalayas and you take this thing along with you, it ain't going to do any good, because you're going to form a new stress. Whatever you may be, this mind is the baggage that will never leave. So this carry-on luggage that goes everywhere you go, this thing is what has to be dealt with. So Mother is saying, okay, this mind, do with this baggage that we have, how do we have a spiritual life? And that's what she teaches us. She shows us this highest realization is through these very duties, because it's our attitude. It's the way we do them. It's what we think about when we're doing them. And she shows that at every time. Once a monk was there, he was there all the time, actually, and he was sweeping the floor of her hut. And then when he was done with the sweeping, he just threw it. And she said, what? Hey, Baba, how strange. How strange. This work is finished and you throw it away so carelessly. She said, won't you need this broom again? She said, it takes almost as much time to put it away carefully as it does to throw it. And she said, besides, won't you need the broom again? She said, should you despise a thing because you think it's insignificant? This broom is a member of our household too, and it deserves some honor and respect. You see Mother's thinking? Everything deserves honor and respect, even a broom, maybe especially a broom, because that's what we use. She said it deserves some consideration. She said you must give each thing a share, its due share of honor and respect, whatever it may be. She said, even a broom has to be shown some honor. She said, the smallest work must be done with reverence. So we often think, oh, I just got to get this done. I'm going to do as fast as I can, get it over with so that I can do something important. It's like, no, that's what your spiritual life is, doing everything so carefully. Doing it with as much concentration, consideration as possible, remembering this is important as whatever I'm doing. Because people think, God, if I didn't have to work so much, then I could really have time for meditation and study. But Mother emphasized the necessity and the real value of work, the value of it. She said, one must always do some work. She said, one should never be without work. And she's not even for a moment should we be without work. Now, being an American, you're thinking, oh God, she's getting all German about it. Arbeit, we have to do work. She said, but that's not her attitude at all, because it's not this obsessive thing that Americans have about being busy all the time. And if you're not busy, then somehow you're worthless. If you're not busy, there's something wrong with you, because there's always something to do. And if you're not doing something, you're useless, because of this American fear of looking inside their own minds, because they're afraid there might be a garbage can there. If they lift up the lid and look inside, that something's going to jump at them, that something inside is so dangerous and scary that they won't be able to deal with it. So they just stay busy, having a television all the time, a radio on all the time, the TV, and then, all these devices going all the time, people texting each other, people, all these different, social media things. That's just not to look inside, just because they can't bear the weight of solitude. They can't bear the weight because they're terrified that maybe they'd be lonely, or maybe they'd be forced to, think about the contents of their minds that have not been tilled, that have not been carefully cared for. But that's not where Mother's coming from. She said, you can't meditate all the time. Nobody can, unless you're a highly evolved soul, which none of us are. So she said, you have to do some work. You don't want to be lazy. You have to work, but make it an offering to the divine. She said, it's like do every single work we do with equal attention, whether it's a chore or it's a highly important task that we have been entrusted with. They have to be done with the same care and the same attention. This whole equal respect and equal diligence, whether we're sweeping or whether we're doing work for the NSA. Same important concentration. One woman came from Holy Mother woman came from Kolkata to see Holy Mother. And she came and she was like, Mother, but Mother was very busy. She was cooking and she was, cleaning up, and there were more people coming in and she was serving them food and she was doing all this and her relatives coming in and all this. And the woman got kind of frustrated because she's been waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally the woman comes and says, Mother, I came to get some spiritual instruction from you, but I see you're too busy even to talk to me. And Mother said, have I not been giving you spiritual instruction? It's like, ooh, glad I wasn't that. The whole time she'd been teaching her, the whole time. It's not this, it's all the actions. It's all the actions. Like, oh man. Now we tend to sentimentalize Holy Mother because we think, oh, she's so sweet. She's so loving. She's so compassionate. That's true. I mean, I'm not saying she's not. I'm not. But that wasn't like the soul, the sum and substance of Sri Sri Ma. That's not who she was. We forget how incredibly strong she was. She had incredible strength. She had one of her famous teachings. She said, there's no treasure equal to contentment and no virtue equal to fortitude. Okay, what do we mean by fortitude? It's not busting down doors. I'm going to break in. I'm going to show you I'm strong. Not that kind of like American, I'm going to push you down. It means to be able to weather the storm, whether the storm is coming from the outside or coming up from the inside. That kind of strength. That means it's like the ballast of a boat. That when they put heavy weights in a boat so it doesn't tip over. Or like those Russian dolls, knock them down, they come up, knock them down, they come up, knock them down. To have that kind of balance and stability, that nothing can knock us off our equanimity. And that's what she had, that perfect equanimity of all times. Because it's like when our stability and balance is there, we can maintain anything, any storm from the outside or welling up from the inside. Because we do get hit, unexpected hits that come into our lives. We never know when they're going to come. But that inner strength, that fortitude, keeps us where we need to be so we don't get knocked off our course. And this is from this grounding in divinity. It isn't just from intellectual knowledge. It comes from repeated spiritual practice that gives us the strength. I know what my inner self is. I know where I come from. I know where my support is. And it is there with me at all times. So it becomes as much a part of us as our own sense of being. It's part of who we are, that sense of that divinity within our hearts, that we know as more than we know our own heartbeat. That's what's within me. And that will weather anything. That deep faith that comes from the knowledge of our own experience the divine. And that is what she had. She had that. She was unassailable. And with grace and with practice, we can have that same equanimity that comes through Mother's grace and our own spiritual practice. And she said, of course, there's no treasure greater than contentment. Now, by that, I don't mean like putting up and being someone's doormat when you're treated with disrespect. That is not contentment. That's being weak. There's a big difference. So we don't allow people to disrespect us in a kind way, but we let them know that we have our boundaries and that I deserve as much respect as you. And this is where the boundaries are. That you always have that tremendous self-respect, knowing what our real nature is. And that should not be trampled. The cobra goes up and hisses, doesn't bite, but you let them know it's there. That sense of, so being content doesn't mean being weak. It doesn't mean allowing others to mistreat you or treat you in a way with disrespect, because you not only weaken yourself, you weaken them too. That will allow them to do it to somebody else. It also doesn't mean that we don't go forward and ask for, that we don't go for a good job when we see it, that we don't ask for a raise when we deserve it, that we don't move forward in our position in life for advancement, for it to be able to better our own lives and to better the world. So being content means we go through these, we use our sense, we pray to Mother and Thakur Swamiji, what is the best path for me? Then we knock on the door. If that door doesn't open, we knock on another door. If that doesn't open, that door opens, good. That's where I'm supposed to be. And then we say, Mother's will, Thakur's will. And then we don't try to break down doors thinking, I deserve better. I could have been a contender. I could have done that. I could have done that. It's like, okay. Because if we are discontented, that means we think something outside of ourselves is going to make us happy. That I will be happy when this happens, which means we're really not content. That contentment gives us great peace. That when other people can have this sort of like deep sense of unease, that if only they had something more, they'd be happy. If only this would happen to them, that would be happening. If only that person just shut up, they would be happy. If only that person would go away, then everything would be great. It doesn't work that way. Everything is there for a reason. Everything is there for our own growth. Everything is there for us to learn so that we can grow. And if we don't learn from that, we will just get it again and again and again until we get it, until we learn how to conquer that obstacle in our life, which is really us. We're looking in a mirror the whole time. We're projecting on what we think is reality. So that person or that situation that we think is our enemy is really us. And we have to learn to contend with whatever is within us that we can't deal with. And then that'll be fine. So it doesn't mean like not striving for what's best. It doesn't mean allowing people to take advantages. It means like when we come to the place where Mother has placed us, okay, thank you, Mother. This is where my spiritual growth will be. There's a great French mystic by the name of Fénelon, Francois Fénelon. And he was a deep mystic who loved quietude. And he was well known for his sanctity. And wouldn't you know, King Louis XIII decided that his son needed a tutor. And so he plucked him up and put him in Versailles, where he was constantly, where Louis XIV, his student, was constantly saying, I will have you killed. I will do this to you. I will do that to you. But Fénelon was this true mystic and believed that wherever God placed him was where he needed to be. Wherever he was put is where God placed him. And therefore, that is where God wanted him to be, to praise God and do his work. It was a sheer torture for a man who'd lived an entire interior life. And he had some students. So he said it was his belief, strong belief, that wherever he was is where God wanted him to be, which was Thakur talks about. The mother cat lifts the kittens and puts the kitten somewhere. The kitten doesn't go, I didn't want to be here. Why didn't you put me over here? The kitten just goes, yeah. And that's how Fénelon was. The Lord has placed me here. The Lord Jesus has put me here so that I can, so that whatever Jesus wants, that I should do. If Jesus wants to put me with this young brat of the future son king of the world, I will do that, and I will teach him as best I can. No, the whole time he's threatening execution, and he made it through the situation and went back to his monastery. But he was a great, great French mystic. And if you haven't ever read Francois Fenelon, he wrote a book, his letters are some of the most inspiring things. He's not very well known, but he's a wonderful French mystic. And there were some wonderful mystics in the Christian tradition. He's one of the lesser known ones. So we have to be happy and content with Mother gives us. So part of fortitude is forbearance. Shah, 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 the three Bengali S's. Again, that doesn't mean being a doormat. That means that we have to, that means that when we are given situations that we don't lose self-control. It's so easy for us to just get irritated and completely lose control. Me with tech stuff, it's so easy to just want to throw the thing across the room and scream. Telling the truth, throw it across the room and scream. And then I have to fix. And it's so embarrassing because any idiot can react and get mad. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's not talking to me. It's like, but it makes matters worse when we don't stay calm and self-controlled. It's so easy, but it just shows our own weakness. It just shows our own weakness and our lack. And weakness is a lack of self-control. So if we can't forbear on the outside, we can't forbear on the inside either. So that sort of self-absorption creates weakness. And if we're weak on the inside, then we can't forbear on the outside. So just to be able to have this tiksha, what they call in Sanskrit, or what Mother said, sojo kora, bear it patiently. Bear it patiently, because reacting just creates more irritation for us, and it betrays our own weakness. She said, forbearance is a great quality. She said, there's nothing like that quality of just forbearance. So it means we don't get angry, we don't get annoyed, because what happens if we allow ourselves to get angry or annoyed, we lose our independence, we lose our freedom. If we are upset because some person is speaking ill of us, or we suspect some person doesn't like us, and we harbor thoughts about that, we lose our freedom, because then we've sold ourselves to that person. We've given ourselves over to that person. What that person thinks about me, why should I care? That's that person's problem. It's not my problem. Why would I make it my problem? Why would I give up my freedom to that person instead of keeping that freedom myself? Freedom is the most valuable thing. Swamiji always spoke about freedom. Freedom, it's a song of the soul. Why would I give my freedom to someone else? Because why should I care if they like me? Why should I care if they find what I do wrong? Why should I care? Do I feel it was the right thing? Yes. All right. Then leave it. Let them have their reaction. I do not need to get involved in it. I know so many people, it's like, this person doesn't like me. It's like, so? So what? How is it your problem? Like, why do you care? Why do you care if somebody likes you? Is this person your universe? Where is Thakur Swamiji in this equation? Huh? Seriously, where is it? Why should you lose your freedom over that and worry about whether a person likes you? That's just weakness. Like, Josie doesn't like me. So Mother emphasized the necessity of work, but she also equally emphasized the necessity of meditation and japa. Meditation and japa. She said we must meditate every day without exception. She said constant meditation makes the mind one-pointed. And now it's very hard to do meditation all the time. That's why japa is so important. The name of God, the name of God. Sometimes we think, I hear this all the time, and when people come, they said, I just haven't been in the right mood to meditate. It's like, if you're not in the mood now, you're not going to be in the mood later. It's like they're waiting for the waves to stop on the ocean before they meditate. No, you're never going to meditate. That's just an excuse. Just admit you don't want to deal with your mind. Just admit you can't deal with it. It's the monster you can't win. Go ahead, be unhappy. Don't meditate. If you want to be unhappy, go ahead, avoid meditation. It's a recipe for being unhappy, promise you. Because until we have control over our minds, we'll never be happy because we'll be at the mercy of somebody else. We give away our freedom. Meditation keeps, Mother said, it's like the rudder on a boat. That rudder on a boat keeps us going in the right direction. If we don't have that rudder, we'll never be happy. And she said, it's necessary to practice japa, meditation, and prayer. People often talk about the Hindu tradition that, oh, meditate, or, asanas. They think that that's the Hindu tradition, period. Om, great. There's 1 minute of Om, and then everyone starts twisting themselves into pretzels. Hindu tradition, there's a great tradition of prarthana, prayer. Prayer is very important. So Mother emphasized prayer as well. Japa, first work. Keep always do our karma yoga work. Meditation, keep the boat steady, at least morning and evening. In japa, 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 and prayer. Pray to Thakur. Pray to Thakur. Because if the mind is too restless to meditate, it's going to be a whole lot more restless without meditation. And then we're miserable. A devotee brought in a tiny little seed and said, look, mother, look at the seed. It was a banyan seed. And she said, and from this, the biggest tree in the world grows. And she said, just like japa. She said, it's just like the mantra, the name of God. From that tiny seed comes all these things that we need. She said, it comes from that tiny seed of the mantra comes devotion, love, God consciousness. From that tiny seed of the mantra. See how fast her mind was, immediately went to God. And the tiny seed of the banyan, the tiny seed of the mantra, it gives everything, just the mantra. She got a letter from a disciple, and the disciple said, oh, mother, my mind is so restless. I'm having such a hard time concentrating and meditating. And mother got really excited. She said, it can be done. She didn't say that to everybody, but I suspect the guy was a monk. She said, it can be done. She said, let him do 15,000 or 20,000 japa a day and let him see how the mind can be put under control. It can be done. She did it herself. She did 100,000 per day, 100,000 per day. And she just wants him to do 15, 20,000. Let him do 15 or 20,000 and then see how he complains. Okay. So we all know the refrain. I'm not getting anywhere in my spiritual life. I practice my japa. I do my meditation. I just don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. But the question is, are we doing it? Are we doing it consistently? Are we doing it sincerely? Are we doing it wholeheartedly? The truth is, it's like the old equation. You only get out of it what you put into it. So if we don't put into it, we're not going to get out of it. So if we sincerely put in our attention and sincerely put our minds on Mother and really sincerely do our prayers, absolutely the results will come. It's inevitable. It's like if you dig a well, you don't go here, you don't go there, you don't go there. If you don't have water, you're not going to wait to be in the right mood. You're just going to start digging. And you're not going to give up until you hit the water. And meditation and japa are just like that. Oh, I'm not in the right mood. Like, what? Okay, you do it. And then 100% you will get that spring of water that we all want. The grace is there all the time. We just are trying to dig the well, which is basically uncovering the impurities in our own mind. Absolutely, that will happen. 100% assurance. We've heard it from Thakur, we've heard it from Ma, we've heard it from Swamiji, and all the direct disciples. 100% assurance, it will have its effect, that grace will come, and we will have spiritual realization. It is inevitable. It is inevitable. Thakur said, whoever comes to me, they will receive everything like the son inherits the wealth of his father. If we do it with complete sincerity and earnestness and yearn for that, absolutely that will come. The question is, do we really want it? Do we really want it? Do we really care? do we really care about it? If you really care about something, then it happens. If it's like, yeah, well, later when I'm, after I'm in the right mood. Next life, maybe, who knows? Do you want to go? The thing is, we don't realize how important our situation is now. We are in a situation where we have disciples of direct disciples here. We have disciples who have spent time with the direct disciples. We know people who have seen Thakur and Mother. We have in living memory people who have seen Mother and Thakur, who can tell us how Thakur danced, who can tell us what Mother did, who can tell us how the direct disciples dealt with things. We know people like that. We are so close to that source of the spiritual power. We have been given the holy mantra by highly evolved souls. And if we don't use it, we're just stupid, indolent. We don't appreciate do we think the next life is going to be so easy? Will we ever get the circumstances again? This is so rare an opportunity. That's why it's like, come here. Come here, everybody. Come to this center. Come to this place. This is such a rare opportunity. The food is being put in right before us. And we're going, yeah, I'm not in the mood. I'll think about it later. It's like, yeah, we'll see if the food's there. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what can happen tonight. But we know it's being offered to us right now. We've been given such grace. And if we turn our backs on it, what fools, what fools. And we'll regret it. We will live in regret. We're given this beautiful nectar, these great opportunities. It's so important. All of you come here, be here, support this place, and really put our minds on our spiritual practice. And then every joy is going to be given to us. Then we won't have to, then it's not drudgery. Then it's like, you can't keep away from it. It's like if your beloved's on the other side of the door, you're going to break that thing down. You're going to break it down because you want to live that love. You want to have that experience of joy. We live for that joy. So take every opportunity now. And Mother said, make a habit of thinking of God. Just make that habit. It's like as natural to us as we can't go outdoors without brushing our teeth. It's like, I can't go out. I haven't brushed my teeth yet. Or taking a shower. Ugh, I've got to take a shower. And then after that, you get dressed. How can I not get dressed? How can I not meditate? How can I not think of God? How can I not do my japa all the time? It becomes that much a part of our being that we can't not do it. It's like it becomes a part. Mother said that habits, she said, just see the power of habit. She said, by the law of habit, a person attains realization through the power of japa, just through habit. We have all these bad habits. Bad habits, how we think about ourselves. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. Such bad, that person is like this. These people are like that. We have bad habits. I have to have a chocolate. I have to have that cup of coffee or I'm going to get mean. We have all sorts of bad habits. Why not have the best habit? Constant repetition of the mantra, constant repetition. Having go. We can attain realization through that. Mother said, practice japa. Through that, you will attain everything. So simple. One practice. Practice japa. That will give you everything. She also said, if your mind simply will not obey, go to Thakur. Just look at his picture. Look at his picture. Just look at him and your mind will become calm. Your mind will become calm. She was also so level-headed and adaptable. She was always said time, place, circumstance. She just made it so available for us. Once she was on her way in a bullock cart with some monks and her ladies, and the cook was there and he broke the pot that had all the rice, the cooked rice in it. And they were all in a tizzy. Oh, we've got to get another, we'll have to start all over again. We'll have to get another pot. And Mother said, there's no time for that. They were 14 miles away from their destination in a bullock cart, and it would get dark. It was an unsafe area. Mother was so level-headed. So she took some rice from the top. She put it on a leaf plate. She put on a leaf, and there was some vegetables, some rice, and then some dal. And she put takur up. And she had that little tin box. She kept that takur up. She put takur on the top. She offered to say, "Takur, please eat. This is the way you have chosen. Today, eat now while it's still warm." And then she told the monks, "Now go and eat." And they laughed and they said, "No. Time, place, and circumstance. We do not have time for anything else. You eat." So practical. Divine Mother of the universe, the goddess herself. Time, place, and circumstance. You do it that way. So she just began. Everything was always as it should be, according to time, person, place, circumstance. She was very adaptable. And it should not be one rigid law. You adapt to time, place, and circumstance. She was so practical. After, there was that big, after Bellarmont was first formed, just started, there was that big plague in Kolkata. And Swamiji was so upset, he decided he was going to sell Bellarmont because he wanted the money to serve the patients. And the monks were like, "He's selling the mud. What are we going to do? We just came here. What are we going to do?" They went to Mother, went to Supreme Court. So she called in. She said, "Baba, you cannot sell this place." She said, "How can you do that?" Because she said, you have entrusted it in my name and in the name of Thakur. How can you sell it?" She said, "This is just one work. And look at how much work is going to be done by this place in the future." She said, "This movement will be a universal. It will spread all over the world. How can you sell it now, Baba?" And then, of course, he went away. He had no choice. You see, everyone sought her opinion. Thakur himself sought her opinion. He would come to her for advice, and she said, No, I have to think about it. Let me think about it. He said, what to think about?" And she said, No, I have to think more. And he said, "Who are you going to consult? There's no one here." She said, No. Let me think about it. I will tell you later. So she'd go to the Nahabat and she'd cry to Mother Kali, say, "Mother, please tell me what I should say. Please tell me what I should say." And then she said, invariably, Mother would tell her what to say. And she'd send word to Thakur, "This is what should happen." Of course, we know about the servant that Swamiji found, who stole something. And Swamiji threw him out. And of course, he came to Mother. And he was in very dire circumstances. And so he cried and he prayed, "This is why I did it." And so she called Naren. "You take him back." He didn't have a choice. Same thing with Maharush Maharaj, a monk who was very quarrelsome. He was always arguing, very difficult monk. Finally, Maharush said, "You go. You're not fit to be in the monastery." He went to Mother, prayed, said, "Mother, please, please." And so she called in Mahapurush Maharaj. "Baba, you let him come back." And he went to the monk. He said, "Yeah, you've gone to the Supreme Court. You've gone to the highest authority." But it wasn't like she didn't see their fault. She did. She knew everything, but she also knew their motives. She knew, she could read people's minds and know what was the background. And so let him back in. It wasn't that way that she was that way with everybody. No, she was very wise. And she could, when that man was beating his wife, she went out and yelled at him and would not let him get away with that. So it time, place, circumstance. She was the divine mother. Oh, come on back here. She was the divine mother herself, but she lived like an ordinary woman. Once, I think it was her nephew was walking. He said, he wouldn't take one step forward. He said, "I will not go." She said, "Come, Baba, come. I will not, Auntie, I do not go until you tell me who you are." "I am your auntie." He was, "You tell me who you are." "I'm your auntie." "People say you're a Kali." "I'm your auntie." No. "Yes, I am that. I am that Kali." "Is it so?" Then he would walk. And then someone asked her, "Why? You're the divine mother. Why do you hide yourself like that? Why are you're appearing as an ordinary woman?" She said, she said, "People cannot approach me that way. If people will not feel close to me. People will not be intimate with me. This way people can be intimate with me and ask me and open their hearts to me. If she's so great, if she's so immeasurable, how can we open our hearts? But she seemed just like us, so simple yet so wise. So that's how we approach her too. She was the goddess of wisdom, but she appeared to all of us as just a simple village woman. My own guru said the only reason he went to her was when he put her head at his feet. He would get this little tingling. And it was so fun to get that tingling sensation when he put his head. She would stop by Vishnupur, where he was from. And so he put his head at his feet. Ooh. They did not know. They knew she was the wife of the Paramahamsa, but they thought, oh, she's the wife of a Paramahamsa. They didn't know till later who she really was. She was so wise. The questions that have bedeviled, I got a little more time. The questions that have bedeviled philosophers since time immemorial, she would answer so simply. We were just talking this morning, the question of evil. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do innocent people suffer? Why is there so much suffering in the world? So one of her disciples said, why is there so much suffering in the world? How come? He said, is all this the result of karma? Is this their karma fault? And she said, what else if not karma? And then they kept asking. She said, everybody gets the results of the actions they earned for this life. She said, even a pin must prick. If a wound is deserved, even that karma fulminance must have its effect. She said, everyone must get that the effect of the rest. She said that our prarabdha karma dictates what we will experience in this life. It's so because of our own thoughts and actions. It isn't like God saying, I'm going to make you suffer just because. Or like Job, it's like, I'm going to test you. Let's see how far we can go with this. It's our own thoughts and actions. One of our close devotees in Santa Barbara, she had a very bad illness. It was painful. And then I said, oh, one of our nuns passed away and blah, blah, blah. Oh, how can this happen? How could Thakur do this so much? We've been suffering so much. How can there be so much suffering? So much time as a devotee, I've not done anything but. And look how much I should suffer. And I said, you think Thakur is a slot machine? You just put in your japa, put in more japa. Is that how you think of Thakur? A slot machine? I said, all of us only experience our own karma, our own thoughts and actions. How we accept that karma is really the question. How do we try to blame it on somebody? Oh, the Lord, why is he doing that to me? Why am I experiencing the results of my own karma? Why am I doing that? Well, because I did it. Because I have thought certain thoughts, I've done certain actions. Of course, it must come one way or the other. How we accept our suffering. That's the question. Because we have the decision to choose whether we're going to be happy or unhappy. Our suffering, how much of our suffering is self-inflicted? How much of our suffering is oh, poor me? Why should this happen to me? I'm such a good person. Still, I suffered. That is our suffering. That's when Buddha talks about people say, what? If you have the arrow is struck and hits, do you pull it out? Or do you say, why did this person hit me? And if you get a second arrow, it's causes, do you try to figure it out? No. Adjust this universe, adjust the mind. Why am I suffering? My own thoughts and actions. Do I need to keep complaining about it? Do I need to say, blame somebody for it? No. We choose to be happy. We can choose to be unhappy. So we can either make ourselves more miserable, or we can just deal with the fact that we suffer pain. Yeah, we all suffer pain, physically or mentally, or a combination thereof. How much mental pain depends on us. Unless we've been stricken with serious mental illness, which is really, a terrible grief. Then we take the medication. Then we take our meds. You know, we listen to people who know more than us and we take our meds. That's what has to happen. But Mother said one suffers so much as the results of one's own actions. But she said, so instead of blaming others, pray to the Lord. Pray to the Lord and depend entirely on his grace. If we pray to the Lord, our minds can be changed. So whatever we have to forbear in this life, we can do it with a better attitude. It's really our attitude that makes us suffer one way or the other. We will suffer pain, absolutely. But how we can forbear it, how we can deal with it, it really is up to us. She said, that's why Mother said this is so important. We tend to forget this because we go, oh, Mother's so loving and compassionate. Mother's so, but it isn't like she didn't say we're going to suffer the results of our own actions. And she said, a person must live carefully. Every action produces its own results. She said, it isn't good to use harsh words towards others or to be responsible for their suffering. The purpose of life is fulfilled when we are able to give joy to each other. How often do we think that about Mother? The purpose of life is fulfilled when we can give joy to each other. We have to be careful about our actions, careful about our words, even careful about our thoughts, because every thought creates an action. Every thought can create an impression on our mind, which makes it so much easier to repeat. So we have to be very careful about what we say. If we wound others, we not only hurt them, we hurt ourselves. And it's so easy to do again. If we do it once, it creates an impression of samskara. If you do that once, it's so much easier to do it again. It's so much easier to do it a third time because we've created that groove in our minds. That's why Mother said we must always live so carefully. And we don't think about that often with Mother, but she often said that. Live carefully. Careful before you speak. Be careful before you say something. Be cautious about life. It's so tentative. Everything is so tentative. So we can't afford to make this the comment. We can't afford to make a catty comment or to be just cynical or to be just cutting at people. It hurts people's feelings. Or to make it's easy when a person lashes at us to lash back at them, to have the comment, to have the perfect retort. We will suffer the consequences. Let them suffer their own consequences. If we react like that, we will suffer the consequences as well. That's why Mother says, be careful. One should always be careful. We don't want to create a bad samskara. So a couple of weeks ago, I gave a Zoom talk to a group on the East Coast. And I said, why does the avatar always come as a man? Why doesn't the avatar come as a woman? I said, the avatar always comes as a woman. And what? Because with Rama always comes Sita. With Rama, with Krishna always comes Radha. With Jesus comes Mary. With Thakur, we have Mother. They always say two sides of the same coin, two sides of the same coin. The message, every incarnation comes with a Shakti. Thakur came with his Shakti, Holy Mother. She is equally with Sri Ramakrishna, easily with Sri Ramakrishna. I'm trying to find if I have this quote that's so great. Yes, this college student came to Mother and he was in Udbodhana. And then all of a sudden he said, he got up and he ran out. He said, Mother, I'm no good for this place. He said, Mother, he said, I'm unfit to come to you. So I'm saying goodbye forever. God knows what he came to his mind, but we can kind of guess. So he just ran out. Mother went running after him. She grabbed him by the shirt and held him and put her face right next to his and said, when any disturbing thought comes to your mind, she was eye to eye with him, think of me. When any disturbing thought comes to your mind, think of me, don't worry. So we can do that too. Here was a woman who hid herself So quiet. People came to her, just took she ran after him, grabbed him by the shirt collar, put her face to his. Think of me. Don't worry. She is telling that to us all. Think of me. Don't worry. So his life was completely changed. He was an utterly transformed man. That can do us. That can do it to us. Think of mother. Think of mother. He was given refuge at mother's feet. We can also take refuge at mother's feet. And for the final word, I just want to quote Swami Asheshananda, who was our Swami in Portland and who was her disciple. And it repeatedly said, Thakur is the method and mother is the grace. Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishna Jagadguru Pada Padme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmahu Pranamami Muhurmahu Pranamami Muhurmahu. Salutations, Thakur salutations. And if there's any questions or arguments.
What was the last beautiful sentence you said? Thakur gave this.
Thakur is the method, mother is the grace. Swami Sheshananda said that repeatedly. Thakur is the method, mother is the grace. Thakur shows us how to do it. What is the way? Mother is the grace, that breeze of grace to get us there. But they're two sides of the same coin. They tell the same truth in different ways. That mother's famous prayer, I know it better in French. Si vous désirez faire de l'esprit, ne voyez pas les fautes d'autrui. If there's, do not look at others' faults, rather see your own faults. I know it because I spent a long time in Gretz, and we repeated it every time before we ate a meal. Si vous désirez faire de l'esprit, ne voyez pas les fautes d'autrui, voyez plutôt les vôtres. And Swami Ratajananda, Mahapurush Maharaj's great disciple, before we ate, we repeated that prayer. Rather see your own faults. No one is a stranger, my child. The whole world is your own, which is pure Advaita. Thakur taught Advaita, Swamiji taught Advaita, Mother did it so sweetly and simply. No one is a stranger. No one is a stranger. If people are your own, then you see them as your own. There's no one even different from us. We're all one. That oneness that Swamiji talks about. Mother says so sweetly. Any questions from out there? Any questions from in here? Arguments, disputations? Recipes?
Mataji.
Yes. Yes. He was such a mother bhakta. Swami Lokeshwaranandaji went to visit him when he was touring the United States. Swami Lokeshwaranandaji. So he went to see the Tathagatananda. And he said, I cannot understand anything he says. His accent is so strong. And he said, I thought he's a madman. But he said, and then I went upstairs and went in his room. He said it was pulsating with Divine Mother. The whole place was pulsating with his sanctity. He read Chandi every day and the house shook. Such a saint he was, that the Tathagatananda. He hurt my hand so badly. I sent him all my bills for going to a doctor. You can't make this up. He was looking for me. Uma, where's Uma? My old name was Uma. Where is Uma? I was in the bookstore. So I came down after lunch and joined. I went down and came around him, and I went down to take the dust off his feet. He grabbed my hand and he twisted it, and he was crushing it at the same time. And I was screaming with pain, and he thought I was kidding. And so he pressed hard. No. He pressed harder and he moved it more. And I couldn't sleep all night. It hurt so much. My hand got like that, and I had an ice pack on it. I was furious with him. I said, look what you did to me. Oh, Baba. And the other nuns, shh, don't bother. It's like, you did this to me. And it was so bad. And I had to go to the doctor because it wouldn't go away. And then I was diagnosed with a crushing, twisting injury that took 5 weeks. I couldn't use my right hand. Do you know what it's like to not to? I couldn't write. I couldn't. My typing on a computer had to be point by point. He was so childlike. He had no idea. So I sent him all my bills, and he was like, "Oh, Ma, please forgive me." Of course, I love you so much. You know that. But he wouldn't come back to Santa Barbara because he was afraid of me. And I loved him so much. I had such reverence. I would visit him and he'd be, "Oh, Mom." It's like, I said, completely healed. Don't worry about it. He was a blessing. You know, he removed so much Pravrajika karma in one swoop. Seriously. He did it unwittingly. I was complaining dreadfully about it. But so much Pravrajika karma he removed with one bad hand. Every day, up in his room, every day. And the house, Lokesharada, who of course was a great saint in his own right, said the house shook with the mother's presence, just palpating with the divine mother's presence. You could feel that in him. Such a saint, so humble, so sweet, and so loving, so humble. He would yell at me and I would yell at him, and he would yell at me and I would yell at him. And he said, "You have to do that. I'm not going to do that. You have to do that. I'm not going to do that." It's like, and the only person in my adult life I ever stuck my tongue, I said, "I'm not going to do that." Went, "Ah!" But he was just like a big brother. He was just like my big brother. I could say anything, do anything with him. It's like, he was so sweet and such a saint, such a simple, holy man. And you go, "How do they send me here?" Oh, I told them, no. And Swami Pavitrana was so different. Oh my God. And he was as restrained as he was. Tagatananaji was all over the place. He came to lunch at the table and they served chicken, and he broke the bones and he sucked out the marrow. He said, "Please don't tell anyone I did this." He was so childlike. What a saint. What a saint. We were so blessed to have his love and company. Amazing man. Any other questions?
Here.
Good.
How do you increase your faith and sincerity? We get caught up in day-to-day living.
Aruna. Really pray for it. Pray for it. Mahapurush Maharaj told Swami Shraddhananda, he marched him down to the shrine, to Thakur's shrine. He said, "Pray for faith. Pray for faith. Thakur, please give me faith. Please give me sincerity. You know I don't know how to do this. You know how weak I am. Please give me faith. Please give me sincerity. Please give me love. Please give me this." And Mahapurushji, just with his full heart, was praying to Thakur like that. And Swami Shraddhananda, he was teaching Swami Shraddhananda. But if you read his letters, Mahapurush Maharaj's letters, pray to Thakur for faith. Pray. And I tell you the truth with my whole heart. The moment you open up your heart to him and really earnestly want it, he will let you know. He will give you signals. He will let you know you're on the right path. Every sincere prayer is answered. I promise you that. With my whole heart, I promise you that. He will respond to you. He'll respond to all of us. If we, with our true sincerity, say, "Lord, I want this, please. I feel like I don't have any faith. I feel like you have to show yourself more to me because I have no faith. Look how caught up I am in this. You please show. Would you please leave me a breadcrumb here or there so I can follow you?" Just, and then he does. He does. I promise you. With all my heart, I promise you. You can come back and beat me if you find it isn't true, because I promise you, he will respond to you. He responds to us all. He is so available. Look at his picture. He will tell you that what we have, that picture of Thakur is living. It's the living Thakur. You look at him, you talk to him, and you will see he responds to you. Those photos are not like 5x7 photos. They're living. They're living. I promise you he will respond. I promise you. if you are sincere and really want it, he will speak. He will come. He will talk. He will let you know. You will see him. He will respond. You will hear his response. He will let you know how much he loves you. I promise you that. If you're sincere and wholehearted, you will find out. You will get answers. I promise you that.
Mother says more than one place, I think, you have come to me, you don't have to worry anything. Thakur will take care of you.
Yes.
On the other hand, I hear from moms that doesn't mean you don't have to do anything. Is it so easy that my mother you will just say mother and mother will take care of you? You have to do your piece. And she never said in this life, it may be 10 lives. Anyway, so what is your take in this? One is full sharanagati, which of course is very difficult.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, you have your purushakar, your own efforts.
I think
I want to do the easy thing, but it's not so easy.
I want to do the easy thing. I want to surrender, but it's not so easy because the ego remains. So I really think it depends on our own earnestness.
Oh.
I think if we really yearn for God, if Thakur Ma appears to us at that point of death, are we going to want to do something else? That will all be burned up. All the karmas will be burned up like that. If something is holding us back, well, it's like, no, I love Thakur, you're great, but you know what?
I still have to take care of
I'm this calling me. This is calling me. Okay, you wait. Okay, you wait.
That's a very interesting one.
Swami Prabhupada said all of his disciples were liberated. Maharaj has given you that, but he said Aldous will have to come back. Aldous Huxley was his disciple.
Mhm.
Aldous Huxley got involved in LSD and he was taking lots of drugs. And at the end of his life, he was dying of cancer. He took LSD as he was dying. And Swami Prabhupada said he will have to come back.
His own disciple.
Yeah, he will have to come back. But I have full faith that, I feel very much like a kitten. Whatever, if mother thinks I need to come back, then I shall come back. I will do everything in my power. And then I asked Swami Asheshana, I said, Swami, would you ever want to come back? And I thought he'd say, if mother comes back, I will come back. No, he didn't say that. He said, I would come back if I could serve Swami Shardananda again.
Uma.
If I could, and that look on his face, he said, if I could serve him again, I would come back. So you see, we can come back for one reason, and we can come back for another reason. We can come back because we want to be with a holy person. We want to enjoy that love. Some of us are cowardly. We don't really want to go back. We don't want to get back in this fire. But I leave it up to Thakur Ma. They know best. What do I know? I'm such a fool. I do know they're real. I do know absolutely they're real. That this is the most blessed incarnation that we've had in this world. And that they've come for us. I do know that. And I do know, I just depend on them. Mahapurush Maharaj says, Thakur says we are free, let it be. So anyone who comes to him, they will inherit his wealth.
Yeah.
Anyone who comes to me, they were as a son inherits his father's wealth. And so I really think it depends on the state of our own minds. It's very important what we put in our minds during our life. So at the point of death, what comes up to the mind? So that are we thinking of turning lights down? Yeah. We're spending too much. That's going to losing too much money on that oil. Are we thinking of that? Or are we just going to Thakur? We had this man in Santa Barbara that came. His name was Nicholas. And he was a beautiful soul. And he came to the bookstore and he was very, into home designing and stuff like that. And he said, he came to the temple because he wanted to see our brass lamps. And he was an interior designer. So he said, can you order these lamps for, I said, yeah, I asked our senior nun at the time. Yes, we can order them from India. We can get them for you. Okay, great. Then he came back a week later. Can I go in that temple and see that? Of course, go in anytime. I can just walk. Yeah, just walk in. So we walked in. Next time he came back, he said, can I just sit in there? Of course, you can just sit in there. So we sat in there. And then he would come back and we'd see his car and he would just go in the temple and sit in there. And then he just come and look at Thakur, look at Thakur, look at Thakur. And he became more, and they got more interested in the philosophy. What do you teach? And then he began just thinking about Thakur. And then he got a picture of Thakur so he could have it at home. And then a few of us became, and they said, you're having a big puja. Can I bring flowers? Yes. So we had this whole beautiful bouquet made and he put it up before Thakur on the altar. And that look on his face was so beautiful. It was like, I offer my life to you. It was that wholehearted and sincere. So every puja, he would come and offer it on the altar right below Thakur. And it was like, it was a joy to see him. And then 3 of us went off to India and he had been in a minor car accident right at the bottom of the hill. Someone had stopped right abruptly, probably because a deer ran in front, and then they stopped. So he hurt his knee on the steering column and it wouldn't get better and it wouldn't get better. And so we went to a different doctor and it wouldn't get better. It wasn't healing. So I went off to India. I said, look, stay in touch and let us know. Tell the nuns what's going on because we want to know what's wrong. You know, we're praying for you to get better. Come on, what's going on? I was like, because they have cancer or something. This is really bad. So they sent word that he'd been diagnosed with AIDS. And this was the first flush of the virus. And people were terrified of it. Mind you, he'd been celibate for 7 years. Not because of Vedanta, but just, you know, he just felt like that's what he wanted out of his life. So that's how long it can remain in your system. So he got AIDS and people were terrified of him. So he was in the hospital and most of the nurses were nice. They all suit up and, you know, put all the gloves on, but the night nurse would just like throw something in him, you know, like give him a shot that was really painful, purposely hurting him. And because he had AIDS, because he was filthy and he had AIDS. And his friends dropped away. The woman he was the godfather of a beautiful baby, of a good child. She wouldn't allow him to see him. When he was released from the hospital, and if he drank out of a cup, people would throw the cup away. And a glass, they'd throw the glass away. People wouldn't come and see him. Of course, we went to see him. And his roommate at the time said, can you come over? He's got a really high fever and I can't get him to eat or drink anything. So I crawled into the bed and I said, open your mouth. And I put in little pieces of mango and he could swallow the mango. Open your mouth, give him a little water. He was burning with fever, just burning. And he said, I'm so weak now. I can't meditate. Swami Swahananda initiated him. And no one told him that you can't tell your mantra to other people. So he walked outside the temple. He said, he gave me the mantra and it's blum, 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 blum. He had given him the bejas for like 8 or 9 different deities. It's like, if that doesn't work, this one will. If that doesn't work, this one will. If that was like, he gave him like an arsenal of bejas. It's like,
and you repeat that.
Yeah, he right in front of me. I said, you're not supposed to tell that to anybody. I said, oh, I didn't know that. He was so great. So, and he said, I'm too weak. He said, can you put his picture in front of me? So if I can't look at him, he can at least look at me. And he loved Ganga Jal. And so he'd always ask us to bring over Ganga Jal so he could be bathed in a Ganga Jal. So in his last visit in the hospital, he was really quite ill. Never once a complaint. I said, I wish I could take some of this from you. He said, no. This has been my teacher. This has been the greatest lesson I've ever had.
What, the AIDS?
The AIDS. No, This has been my real teacher. And then he asked for Ganga Jal, and he was kind of going in and out of consciousness, and the door was right there. And at the end, he looked above the door and to the right, and he went, and he died.
Uma,
He'd only been around less than a year. Less than a year. And you could just know that Thakur had come for him. One of his friends got in touch with me about a month ago. Said, hey, I was friends. Oh, he's one of the finest men I knew. One of the finest men, transformed just by walking in and seeing Thakur's picture. Just seeing that. You see? But it was that absolute sincerity that made all the difference in the world. He wasn't counting japa and treating Thakur like a slot machine. It was absolute pure love and surrender. Pure love and pure surrender. That was it. Okay, I think that's enough for today. Om Shanti 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 Hari